You're watching WXYZ 7. Now, Action News at 11 with Diana Lewis, Guy Gordon, Jerry Hodak with Doppler 7 Weather, and Sports with Don Shane.
I will not leave the American people at the mercy of the Iraqi dictator and his weapons.
Tough talk tonight from President Bush against Saddam Hussein. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Once again, President Bush made his case for war, this time during a rare primetime news conference tonight. Action News reporter Frank Turner joins us now with more on what the president had to say. Frank?
Diana, the court of public opinion was in session on primetime TV tonight, and whether Americans knew it or not, we were sitting on the jury to which the president is still trying to make an ironclad case against Iraq. The press was invited to ask the questions, but the answers were designed for you.
Saddam Hussein is a threat to our nation, and since I believe the threat is real, and since my most important job is to protect the security of the American people, that's precisely what we'll do.
The president used the most carefully chosen words to paint Saddam Hussein in the worst possible light. He accused the dictator of secretly making and hiding the very same kind of missiles he's been openly destroying. He called it the willful charade of a master of deception, a threat to the world who tortures and murders his own people while harboring and supporting terrorism.
And our fellow Americans must understand in this new war against terror that we not only must chase down al-Qaeda terrorists, we must deal with weapons of mass destruction as well. That's what the United Nations Security Council has been talking about for 12 long years.
The president would not be pinned on whether war is imminent, insisting that troops deployed by the tens of thousands pressure on allies to support a new UN war resolution, and new accusations against Saddam still represent what Mr. Bush called the final stages of diplomacy.
If we have to go to war, if war is upon us because Saddam Hussein has made that choice, we will have the best equipment available for our troops, the best plan available for victory, and we will respect innocent life in Iraq.
On the Korean situation, the president was even more diplomatic, even apparently offering economic aid in return for the shutting down of the North Korean nuclear missile program. But Mr. Bush clearly wanted North Korea on the back burner, and the heat turned up on Saddam Hussein.
We will not wait to see what terrorists or terrorist states could do with weapons of mass destruction.
Tomorrow, the Chief Weapons Inspector, Hans Blix, will be back in front of the UN Security Council with the answer to the most important question: is Saddam disarming? The president says if he were, we would already know it. Guy?
All right, thank you, Frank. Here's a quick look at some of the other developments in the showdown with Saddam. The number of American warplanes over Iraq increased dramatically today, and officials admit this is in preparation for a possible war. And Saddam Hussein said today that if the U.S. invades his country, it would be an act of absolute stupidity.
A major military operation is underway right now to catch Osama bin Laden. American and Pakistani agents say they are in hot pursuit of the terrorist and are closing in. The search is centered on two areas on the border of the Pakistani province of Baluchistan. One near the northern city of Chaman, next to Afghanistan, where today planes dropped leaflets telling of the $25 million reward for bin Laden. The other, south and west, where the province borders Iran. Bin Laden reportedly has been going back and forth between Iran and Pakistan.
They have defined his whereabouts to a very small area, and I think that probably is enough to initiate major operation to try and get him.
American officials say bin Laden was pinpointed more than a week ago when he used a mobile phone to call his family. A surprising decision for someone who knows American satellites can pick out his voice.
His son, apparently Saad, is in Iran, and some of his wives and other children are also inside Iran, and he has made, apparently, a major mistake.
Pakistani officials say their military, seen here last year on patrol, is being mobilized in the Baluchistan capital of Quetta. American officials who have interrogated al-Qaeda prisoners say bin Laden will not want to be taken alive.
I used to have I suppose, a fantasy of seeing bin Laden in an orange jumpsuit that said Metropolitan Correction Center on it. I don't think that's going to happen. In my judgment, he's probably scripted his own demise, and I think that he would shoot it out.
Bin Laden's former top military commander, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, has told the CIA that he recently met with bin Laden in the same area of Pakistan where the search is going on. American officials say they are confident they will catch Osama bin Laden.
Let's hope they're right. The FBI agent who exposed intelligence blunders leading up to the September 11th attacks is sending out another warning tonight. Colleen Rowley sent a 7-page letter to FBI Director Robert Mueller last month. The letter insists the FBI would not be able to handle the flood of terrorist attacks that could be brought on by a war with Iraq. Rowley also writes that focusing on Iraq instead of terrorist groups has weakened the nation's security. She does believe the FBI has made improvements, but still doesn't think it could handle more threats.
If the problem gets bigger, there's simply no way, I don't care what kind of improvements you make, that you'll be able to combat it.
The White House disagrees with Rowley, saying they heard the same warnings before attacking Afghanistan. Diana?
Federal agents were in Dearborn tonight holding a forum with the Arab American community. It was a chance for local Arab Americans to meet face-to-face with government officials to speak out about their rights. Action News reporter Ray Saya is live in Dearborn with more on this story. Ray?
Diana, the president didn't come out and say it tonight, but certainly his tone was an indication that the likelihood with war with Iraq was stronger than ever. That is why tensions are very high among the Arab Americans here in Metro Detroit. Many are concerned about their civil liberties. Tonight's town hall meeting was designed to address some of those concerns and inform Arab Americans about things they may not have been aware of. If there is a war in Iraq, some Iraqi Americans in Metro Detroit will get a knock on the door by FBI agents. That's according to FBI Special Agent in Charge Willie Hewlin.
It's not going to be to go out to put people in any camps or anything of that nature. We're going to be specifically looking for assistance.
The questioning of Iraqi Americans during a war with Iraq was among an assortment of topics discussed at a town hall meeting in Dearborn. For 2 hours, members of the Muslim and Arab community sparred, debated, and questioned members of various federal agencies who came asking for trust.
I think this is a significant step towards building the trust.
While U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Collins sounded optimistic about building trust, many in the audience weren't convinced.
We should get riled up about this.
Bob Parsons was one of many who accused the federal government of racial profiling, discrimination, and the enactment of laws that violate civil liberties.
Shouldn't we get riled up about it when they can imprison people with no charges?
By the end of the night, some had their questions answered, others didn't. All agreed that creating trust will take longer than a 2-hour meeting.
The only way to earn it is by showing these people in a practical way that they are not targeted, they are not subject to selective treatment, and the concept of racial profiling is not the tone for their activities.
Right. This was the third town hall meeting of its kind ever since September 11th. A lot of people are skeptical that these town hall meetings resolve anything. Despite that skepticism, organizers say these meetings will continue in the future. Live in Dearborn, Ray Saya, Channel 7 Action News.
Thank you, Ray. The United States is considering moving troops out of South Korea. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld said today U.S. troops near the border with North Korea are becoming what he called an intrusion. Rumsfeld says some troops are left over from the Cold War, and he's considering shifting them around, whether it's further south or out of South Korea altogether.
I'm Stephen Clark, live in Dearborn, where after 157 years, St. Alphonsus High School may be about to go out of business. The question is the church trying to save it or put it out of business? The report coming up in about 7 minutes on Action News.
Plus, thieves went to great lengths to cover up their trail after stealing from a hospital. And parents sending their kids to college will feel the brunt of Governor Granholm's budget cuts. Jerry?
And Diana, our weather forecast contains a word we always like to hear this time of the year. The word is the first one on our weather check for tomorrow. It's warmer. At the same time, the sunshine fades away and the clouds move in. We'll see how warm and how cloudy it's going to get coming up in just 13 minutes.
The winter storm warning is in effect for much of the viewing area.
Heavy snow, hundreds of school closings. When winter weather took a turn for the worse, you turned to Action News.
All the snow and the ice is coming.
Before the storm.
You look at Doppler 7 right now.
For storm team coverage from all over town. Doppler 7 weather and traffic updates.
Channel 7 was right on the money today for us.
They were predicting the storm and it happened.
Continuing our commitment as Detroit's news leader. Channel 7 on your side.
When was the last time you didn't have a worry in the world? Worry-free vacations to Cancun.
I'm scared. Don't be. It's all show business.
Now Chicago has been nominated for 13 Academy Awards, including Best Picture of the Year.
That's Chicago.
Chicago.
That's
Rated PG-13. Now playing.
You can do a lot of damage in 13 hours. Marshall Field's 13-hour sale. Saturday only.
I feel the rhythm. I feel the beat. Everybody's thinking forward first on the street. It's about excitement and winning the town. The more dealers do it, giving you more all around. Living is good when you go for the best. You gotta think for it first. Forget all the rest. Your Metro Detroit Ford dealers. Think for it first.
Cheers.
When was the last time you didn't have a worry in the world? Worry-free vacations to Cozumel.
We have breaking news out of New York. The Waldorf Hotel in New York City has been evacuated. Secretary of State Colin Powell was inside holding meetings with the French and German foreign ministers. Police found a suitcase with wires coming out of it and called in the bomb squad. They are still investigating the scene. No one was injured.
Police are trying to figure out who stole more than $100,000 worth of computer and x-ray equipment from a local hospital. It was taken from a storage room at Crittenden Hospital in Rochester. The thieves put chains into the empty computer boxes to make people think that they were still full. Investigators believe it was probably an inside job because only 30 people have access to that storage room.
The caretaker accused of taking 3 mentally challenged women on an all-night joyride is now jobless and facing 2 years in jail. A judge set a high bond today for 49-year-old Marie Florino to make sure she stays behind bars. Investigators say she loaded 3 women in a group home's van to buy crack cocaine. Florino is charged with a misdemeanor for taking the van, but isn't facing charges on the drugs because the 3 women weren't able to testify.
Tonight, computer hackers have stolen thousands of Social Security numbers from a major university.
And how your credit card will help protect you from having your identity stolen.
And new tonight, an 8-year-old has been expelled for bringing a knife to a local school. The story coming up in just 7 minutes. Stay with us.
Mr. Wilson, I'm calling in regards to the investigative report you did last night.
I want to thank Channel 7 and compliment the work of Steve Wilson on their expose on the Detroit public schools.
I think it's absolutely wonderful.
As a parent, I'm glad that Channel 7 Action News is on our side.
You're definitely on our side. And you do people like me a world of good.
Steve Wilson and the 7 on Your Side investigative team on Action News. You're never more than 10 minutes away from Doppler 7 weather and traffic together. Watch Action News this morning, weekdays starting at 5. Jerry Hodak's Doppler 7 forecast every day in the free press. Plus, don't miss the all-color Yak's Corner every Thursday and the Daily Yak on the Color Comics page. Yak's Corner, a fun and safe place for kids to learn about current events. It's all in the Detroit Free Press.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Walsh College. Walsh College is now enrolling for its widely recognized MBA program. Visit them at www.walshcollege.edu.
Gee whiz, it's Hooper's birthday party. Join us in the celebration. See Bear from the Utah Jazz, along with the Sonic Squatch and Gee whiz from Washington. Houston is sending its own clutch, and High Flying Boomer will be here from Indiana. Go to work with the Pistons this Sunday as they take on the Golden State Warriors. Plus, get your picture taken with the Piston on Fifth Third Bank Photo Sunday. All fans in attendance will receive a Hooper action poster courtesy of Sprint. Receive a buy one, get one free ticket coupon when you bring in a new kid's book. Doors will open at 4:30. Call 248-377-0100 or log on to pistons.com.
you can see the excitement on people's faces. Because now at McDonald's, you can get a classic Filet-O-Fish sandwich with medium fries, all for just $2. Make it a meal with an icy cold Coke or snack-sized fruit and yogurt parfait for just $1 more. McDonald's Filet-O-Fish. Everyone's getting hooked.
Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you.
2 years after the telephone was invented, a telephone company was born. 125 years of sweat, of building networks, of getting the job done. After 125 years, we are just getting started. Looking back, moving forward. SBC.
Time may be running out for one of the area's oldest schools. St. Alphonsus Catholic School in Dearborn may close its doors for good. Tonight, parents and teachers say the church is abandoning them, but they're not leaving without a fight. Action News reporter Stephen Clark is live in Dearborn with the story. Stephen?
Good evening, Diana. St. Alphonsus has been a fixture here in Dearborn for 157 years, but take a good, long, last look at the school. The Archdiocese of Detroit tonight confirms that this school year may be the last. Now, there is no question the school is running out of students and it's running out of money. The question is the church trying to run it out of business?
I found you, man.
These kids are all students at St. Al's, but pick-up basketball games like this one in the high school gym may become a thing of the past if the parish gets its way.
Well, they said they don't have enough money to keep it running, and that's the only way they can go is by shutting it down.
High school enrollment has plummeted in 6 years, and the school is deeply in debt.
We're in a catch-22 is what happened.
Rather than rescue it, City Councilman and longtime parishioner Tom Tefelsky suspects the Archdiocese wants the high school to fail.
If this high school were to close and then the grade school were to close, you know, how long before the church closes and then the land is bundled up, packaged, and sold off to a private developer. That money then goes down to the Archdiocese and maybe they use it to build a cathedral on Woodward Avenue.
It makes me angry and sad and rather disgusted.
Parents and alumni aren't sure why the church won't rescue the school, but they share a suspicion.
They are abandoning the middle class, our faith, and they're letting it build and go on and go out.
It seems like they don't have a commitment any longer to Catholic education for perhaps middle-class families.
I think that the church wants to follow the money out that way, where there are more vibrant parishes. And it seems like the inner ring parishes are being allowed to die, like St. Al's.
No.
Whatever is happening to the school, the students here are learning it's not a game. But it is a hard lesson in church priorities.
That they can spend $3 million on building a church, but they can't spare some money to help like Catholic schools because
education.
Yeah, they care more about church buildings and education.
The students and parents aren't going to go down without a fight. They plan a rally here at the church at Warren and Schaefer in Dearborn at about 9:45 or 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. If you have any interest at all in saving the school and maybe eventually St. Alphonsus Parish, you may want to stop by. Reporting live from Dearborn, I'm Stephen Clark, Channel 7, Action News.
It's a great institution, Stephen. Thank you. Governor Jennifer Granholm today unveiled a state budget with the biggest spending cuts in state history, over $1 billion. Many vital programs are protected, but many others important to Michigan families will see severe cuts. The budget